Okay. So, chapter 5, verse 8 and 9. However, the Sankhya Yogi who knows the reality of things must believe that he does nothing, even though seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating or drinking, walking, sleeping, breathing, speaking, answering the calls of nature, grasping, and opening or closing the eyes, holding that it is the senses alone that are moving among their objects.
Yeah, I think we had talked about it a little bit last time.
Yeah. But anything else remaining on this discussion? So practically, is it like that yogi is aware of the senses without being attached to them? That is the meaning. Or he is seeing and he is also seeing that he is seeing. So it is like two, which is more accurate.
Of course, the seeing and the one who is seeing, that process is happening parallelly. He doesn't really have to do that forcefully or with volition. It is just happening. Without him doing anything, it is just happening. Because he's kind of like, you can say, he's well adept to it. Maybe it has become his default mechanism, the way he operates. So he's not forcing it. He's not on a level where you, like a sadhak level. Because on a sadhak level, it will always be a try. It will always be an effort there. There will be an effort involved. On a yogi level, there is no effort. And that's why he is yogi. That is, he is a little ahead of sadhak, you can say.
So is this actually useful for commoner or
Commoners who are aspiring to be sadhaks. Like commoner, one who is on the path, and at some point he is going to be regarded as sadhak.
so how is it useful?
It can inspire you where the practice can actually take you. It is just it's like a aeroplane which is about to take a flight, but before it actually starts flying in the air, it has to run on the runway for some time. So this is actually getting prepared for that runway. So you are actually running, but you know for sure you are not going to keep running like that forever. At some point, there will be a force which will carry you in the air. So it is a very good state, or maybe you can say inspiring state actually.
One question comes to mind. When I started my first job, initially for several days I was, and that happens in any new job, that you are not exactly involved in the politics or you don't know the structures, you do not know that what is the accepted norm of that specific society or that community, and you are there. Is that something similar to Sankhya Yogi?
You mean the Gyan Yogi?
The Sankhya, yeah, the Gyan Yogi, the Sankhya Yogi. I mean, this one.
Sankhya is Gyan, yeah.
Sankhya is Gyan, correct.
Yeah.
So, and I remember my superiors and my, not my colleagues, but my superiors, they had a problem like, you don't look involved. Because I was in that marketing job, ACC Cement, and they used to have like this tension that the target is not met, and I was okay, fine. The rates have fallen. I said, okay, fine. because I did not have until that time I was a management trainee at that time. So I hadn't really got into the core of things. And the similar kind of things I notice from time to time. Another example comes to mind. Once Lina's car had some issue, uh, and her niece was eating some potato chips or something, like nonchalant. I mean, nothing happening, not involved. And Lina was like, under tension that the car is having some trouble. Um, so is that something similar? Since we are talking of inspiration, is that somewhat like the yogi is, that he is there but he's not there?
It is no, he's well aware of everything. He's well aware of the situation. He has known the ifs and buts, and also he knows in and out of everything. So it is not a state where you are trying to remain aloof for the fear that, and that this is an underlying fear. Actually, I would not say the fear has actually come to the surface. It is just an underlying fear which you have not acknowledged yet. But there is an underlying fear which actually is preventing you to become involved, because the moment you are involved, there will be stress coming up. So it is an effort to remain stress free by being aloof, and that is different. That is not a state of yogi. Yogi has no fear of stress. Whether he is completely involved in that, that will also not make him involved. He will be completely involved and still not involved, because his I will not be involved. So he might appear to be like most of the other people, that he is uh, in the action with a lot of passion and stuff like that. But then at the end of the day, it is just a game, or maybe just a play. He's like not completely, it's like more like an actor but not actually acting. So actor very well knows he's acting, but for yogi, the whole world, the whole life is just an act. He's just taking up different roles, but he's not like he knows that there is nothing to it, and this is not these are certain things which you need to do to the best of your ability and to the honesty, um, to great honesty. But at the same time, his eye is not getting involved in those things. So that's why he remains extremely, you can say, impartial, um, without I would not say without judgment. He is judging also, but again, the eye is not judging. Judgment, but without the eye in it. It's a pure judgment based on the merits of the things, without putting your biases and your prejudices mixed up with it.
Is it possible to set aside your prejudices and biases consciously?
Yeah, there can be an effort. Effort can be made, or at the most in the beginning, you can be aware of the prejudices and the biases coming into play. You can very well catch them actually. Okay, this is my conditioning, this is my the way I have perceived things in the past, that is actually colluding my judgment right now, because all these things are coming so heavy right now, so I'm not able to see it. And so you can be aware of that. Okay, I'm not able to see it, and saying it to yourself, yeah, I'm not able to see it because of my prejudices. So that is honesty, telling yourself that okay, I'm right now, I am not very clear, because the judgments and the prejudices are extremely heavy on the mind.
I think that is what Rudyard Kipling really meant, because Rudyard Kipling was also a Vedantic scholar, and he wrote that poem If, and in which he says, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you
Hmm.
can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, and so on and so forth. That's a very famous poetry. But I think what I used to interpret that this, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, means to me at that time that um, you are able to keep your calm inside. But the reality is actually this, that in this light I'm understanding, re-understanding that verse. What he meant by if you can keep your head, that means not your calm, not you cannot be calm when you're in the, when
Hmm.
people are blaming it on you, but you can be aware of the prejudices with
Right.
which you react. How do you react to that blame? And by
Or
reacting,
how your mind is actually planning to react?
correct. Hmm.
What is going on in this moment? You just be aware of that. How it is going to play out, that you do not know. And if you are extremely conscious, probably it will not even play out. It will just play in your mind, actually.
Mind. Hmm. Like like Einstein's thought experiment. It will just become a thought experiment. It will happen in the mind. Some model
Mhm.
will appear and then disappear also.
Disappear. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Very true.
most people struggle there only because they get into the action mode
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they cannot resist it. Because that
It is
that
automatic.
sort of spin actually
Yeah,
brings brings up some kind of turbulence inside the body, and
exactly.
that turbulence needs a release. And most of the people give into that release.
Yes, yes. It happened to me just last week. I was teaching Java, and this I explained everything, and I gave them a question and started. Then one student comes late, and then he asks me a question about like what I'm asking them to do. And I almost, not almost, exactly instinctively, I said, "You came late," and I walked off. Then I realized that wasn't conditioned behavior. I mean, he
Right.
came late. Obviously, he doesn't know the question entirely. So he is asking. And then I went to where I stand normally and then I explained the question again. But my first reaction was, you came late. You should have come in time. I'm not going to explain again.
No, the thing is, you should allow yourself to express these kind of things. It's okay. I mean, it is healthy. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
But you
not
should be
like,
aware of. No, but it was not a question of, I was not aware of saying
oh
that.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
instinctive.
Instinctive. Yeah, most of the
I mean,
time,
I judged him instinctively. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, this is mostly the automated
Yeah.
uh, mode. Actually, you are like in autopilot in that particular moment.
Yeah,
You are in
autopilot.
autopilot.
Yeah, yeah. True
Yeah.
that.
Any questions, Lina, Anisa, at this point? Or this is like extremely difficult thing. What is this? Smelling, eating, drinking, walking, sleeping, and
One
that
thing
he
I
does
can say,
nothing.
one thing I can say that I am not there. And I don't think I will be there. But it
Yeah.
is a good inspiration to have.
Right. Right. See, I mean, most of the stuff like seeing, hearing, why it is spelled out in this way is you have
No,
to break it down
yeah.
for this. Like, I mean,
No,
when
no.
you are,
I what I break down is, see, seeing is eyes,
hmm,
hearing is ears, what touching is skin, smelling is nose. What they are talking about, these are the five senses.
mm-hmm, yeah,
And then the action of waking up, sleeping. So you are awake, and that, so this is like that three a u makar, breathing, pran vayu, speaking vachan, man, karma, vachan, answering the calls of nature, automated behaviors, grasping, opening or closing eyes. Hota kya, what happens most of us, when we see, we don't really see. When we see with desire behind it. So a beautiful woman comes in front of you, and that woman goes. You are actually gone with the woman or man. I mean,
Right.
you are not there. You are gone with that. That is wrong. That is not seeing.
Yeah. So all it is emphasizing is like each action you read this as like seeing plus eye, hearing plus eye, touching plus eye.
Yes.
So you have to get to the point where touching minus eye, hearing minus eye, seeing minus eye. When you get to that point where walking is happening, but there is no eye walking with it. So when you get to that point, that is a point which is actually that's a healthy point where eye is not getting involved too much. Eye is getting disciplined now. It knows to keep the affairs of the body to the body plane only. It's not bringing the affairs of the body to its mental plane. So it is very helpful in that sense.
And talking of which reminds me, it almost happened to me once, and I got scared. In the sense that I was actually seeing myself walking. If you can, I don't know how to relate it, but I could, like, as if I was not it. But it was as I mean, immediately I shunned away that thought, that perspective, that you are walking and you are seeing that your legs are moving and you are not moving. It was some imagination, of course, but it immediately made me very scared, also very afraid. But again, some figment of imagination, so I did not ponder over it.
So it just we have to see that, okay, when we are doing something, are there any desires like hidden motives and hidden agendas behind all the actions what we take? So if those actions are not from the non-eye center, those are always from the eye center. At least to be aware of those things, like okay, all right, these things I mean, when these things when are actually playing out, they are going to end up in our mental plane, because we are putting I into each and every act. So that I is going to bring all these acts into your mental plane, and then there will be attachment, there will be this, that, all kind of things are following.
What question comes to mind? Can there be memory without I?
No. There will be a sense, there will be a memory always. I will have the memory which is actually there are two kinds of memory actually. One memory is like completely it's like a recorder. It's just recording things. And then there is a choice, or like you are selecting something. There is selective memory. There are a lot of things in our subconscious actually, but we do not remember all that stuff. Only the mind only tries to remember or just keep in the minds which actually matters to the physical survival or to the benefits of the eye. only those things matter to the to the eye. But there the memory as such is like a huge thing. So in that reservoir, in that you can say the data warehouse, there is a large amount of data. But what you remember selectively, that is the memory which is related to I. Other than I also you can have memory, because it is just a recorder. It just keeps recording, and it keeps those recordings pass on to the subconscious, and then they become like a archive. You don't even remember them. Like what you ate 2 years back on a particular day, that is there in the archive. But you don't have a recollection of it. There is a method where you can actually go back to that memory and access that memory. You can even remember what was the color of your plate, or which place you were gone on that day. You can go to that point, and you can pull that archival file. But right now, for your survival at this point, that memory as of carries no value. So it is just there in the archive file. So there is a memory which is without I, and that memory which is associated with I, that is a selective memory. I chooses to keep that memory because some or the other way that memory is useful to the I. You need to know what are your bank accounts, which banks you are having accounts. That memory is very important.
Yeah.
For your physical survival, for a lot of things, for carrying out. So that will not just slip by your consciousness. So I always choose what to remember and what not to remember. The practice of spirituality actually helps you select what is really important for you. So there are a lot of things which we think right now are important. They become meaningless when you start practicing spirituality. And that's how spiritual people become more forgetful as the time goes by. Because I have been to India, and I was talking to people, and they were telling me about a lot of things. And I said, I can't remember all of that. And they were like, how could you not remember that? I'm like, maybe it is not very important for me, or probably it has just slipped my mind. And then they were suggesting me to start meditating. They were telling me that you have become, we thought like you are a sadhak. We were thinking that you are like a yogi kind of person, like a very spiritual, but you are losing your memory. And that is a very, that's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
How can you forget so many things? I said, forgetfulness is like a bliss for me.
Of course.
It's working out very good for me, because there are so many not so important, unworthy things which used to be in my consciousness. They are clear now. But they don't understand that. They were like, oh no, you are missing out meditation. So definitely. Go ahead.
He who acts offering all actions to God and shaking off attachment remains untouched by sin as the lotus leaf by water.
Right.
The same as Zen gurus say that you should walk in the water and your feet should not touch, your feet should remain dry.
He who acts offering all actions to God and shaking off attachment. So here he is actually talking about Bhakti Yoga. This is a yoga of devotion, actually, a devotion yoga, you can say. So he's saying, what is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is like when you are renunciating all the results of your karmas, or maybe not renunciating, or maybe surrendering all the results of your karmas to Almighty, we can say. You are surrendering all the results of your karma. Mostly we are actually interested in the results of our karma. Here, what is being suggested is you surrender all the results of your karma. Don't try to hold on to any of the results to yourself. Surrender the results of all the actions you have done or you have taken, and that is what it is saying, and that is the only way you can remain untouched by sin, because the moment you are holding on to the fruits of the action, you are touched by the sin. Because what is sin actually? The sin is to have that desire. You will have a desire, and then from desire you will give rise to attachment, and from attachment there will be a chain of suffering. All those things will start. Why it is starting? Because in the first place you are having that little greed to hold on to the fruit of the action. So he is suggesting, okay, what bhakt means a devotee. What devotee is doing here? Devotee is actually surrendering all the fruits of his action to the God Almighty. And that's the way he is remaining untouched by sin, as the lotus leaf by water. As lotus, when remains in water, there is no drop of water stays on lotus. So he is asking you to become like that, and the way to become like that is this. As long as you have that greed or desire to hold on to the fruits, you will always give rise to the sufferings in your life, some or the other way, because you will keep getting attached. You will keep weaving sufferings for yourself, unconsciously, consciously, because you think it is very important to remain attached. You think it is very important. So this is probably a new concept. Maybe for Anisa, maybe for Lina also, this is totally very different. That how can we give up the fruits of our action? Because holding on to the fruits of the action in the mind leads to suffering. So that is why the fruits may come to your feet, but you should not be carrying those fruits in the head. Before the fruits come into picture, your fruits, you should be totally impassive about the fruit, whether it is going to come into existence or not, whether you are going to be successful or not, but you should be totally detached from it. That is what it is trying to say. And the devotee is very much capable to do that. And that's why he is a devotee. So he's trying to suggest that we should pick up a leaf from the devotee's a feather from his hat. because that will actually take away a lot of our reasons of suffering. If you could act like that, could be overwhelming. Any questions on that?
Does it apply only to actions or the desires that precede any action, like the dreams? I have a dream.
Obviously, because all the actions, they come into the action mode because of the desires behind them. So, I mean, generally we get into actions because of the desires, because of the various plans we make, the various ideas we have, various schemes we are working on. That's why the action come into picture, right? So he's saying all those desires, all those schemes, everything need to be surrendered to the feet of God. They need to be surrendered, actually.
And obviously, this is all coming from ego center, because the Krishna consciousness center, I mean, that obviously there is no desire, not even of liberation.
That is very advanced state. We are not yet there.
Yeah.
We have to start from here only. We have to address the ground reality. We cannot talk about desirelessness, unfortunately. That is just a imagination. We cannot talk about the end. We are at the beginning. We don't know how this journey is going to be. So we have to just go one step at a time. You need
So
to
we
see.
can't aspire to that? So can we not aspire to that?
Aspire about what? About the desire?
About the end. About the end.
The aspiration is also another kind of maze. Yeah, it is another kind of illusion. When sometimes people aspire, but then they start projecting that thing into their current state, and that is not very healthy, and that is not very useful, because that will take you away from where you are actually, because you are projecting something which you are neither are at the moment, and there is no possibility that you are going to be there in near future also. But you are already telling yourself, like fooling yourself, oh, I already attained a Krishna state. So that is extremely dangerous.
But I mean, we're not trying to be delusional. I'm not kidding myself that I'm going to get to that state, but isn't it good to keep in mind that that's where I want to go?
That it doesn't stay there that way, right? The moment you bring it to your mind, the mind already starts making plans, and it becomes delusional without you noticing it. It is just it happens. That's the kind of mind we are carrying, most of us.
So when I'm reading this and we're going through this, does this not qualify as delusion?
You are reading it just acknowledging that to attach a desire with it, you need to be aware of it, that okay, now the desire is getting attached, and it probably will lead me to a different path if I'm getting too attached to it. So you can have that thought on a thought level, but then you need to have that awareness that okay, maybe I'm getting attached to that desire. If it is actually interfering your normal way of acting, if you are, and you will notice that if you are aware of it, you will notice that. If you are aware of yourself, you will notice that okay, Maybe that desire which I have picked up somewhere, it is interfering with my normal functioning.
And I guess I just basically am being, or we're being made aware of
We
this.
are being aware.
That's it. Okay.
That's all it is. Yeah.
The verse also says, and shaking off attachment. Can attachment be shaken off like that? Can you just shake off attachment? It is too easily put here. It is like shaking off honey. If you are covered with honey and mud maybe, but you can't shake off honey.
But I think they're trying to communicate that.
It is. I mean, you are trying to say. I mean, you are trying to read the words. Actually, the meaning implied is you need to surrender that. You need to renunciate that. Like the word renunciation is there. When you renounce those attachment, and it will come with effort, right? It will not be easy. We already have talked about it. Like, so renunciation is not a easy process. But once we renounce something, then even though that same thing comes back to us, it should not possess us. Because now we are totally become unavailable to that thing, or maybe we are totally disinterested in that thing now. The mind is not very much curious about it, because you have come very close to it, you have seen it from all the angles, you have, and then you have renounced it, and now you have moved on. So at some other crossway, if you are again meeting the same desire or same attraction, you will not be tempted. It will not possess you like it used to possess you before, because you've already gone past it.
So initially it has to be more of an action, and then it kind of becomes more of a, like, that is where the things drop off by themselves. But initially you have to
Right.
initially you have to put some effort into it.
Effort, yeah.
After
Today only I was talking to one of the seekers, and she's a old lady. She has not performed much spiritual. She was telling me that she used to listen to Osho and other gurus here there. Like last 20 years, she's been trying, but she was saying that she had put herself in the business, actually. I mean, the worldly business, so much that she had not gotten time to enjoy life. The so-called enjoyment that she didn't really have time. So that those small moments, those small desires, they are in a rudimentary form. They are now very on a very dormant level. They exist in her consciousness. But now, since she is very close to retirement, or probably she is already retired, but she's just like for the earnings sake, she's just running a shop, like not very serious, but she's just doing, because she still likes the business. So so she was saying that when these kind of temptations come to her, that somebody plans some vacation or something like a party or this or that, too many things go through her mind, and then she suddenly feels, oh my God, what is happening? Is it because, and now she's listening regularly to Acharya ji. So she was saying that I get to the point where I can see that my mind is feeling attracted. And I can also see, just because I have never enjoyed those things, I feel like doing them. So what is it you can suggest to me? What should I do? Because Acharya ji is saying to renounce it, give up. So how can I give up? She was saying, how can I give up when I have never tasted it? I said, I'm not going to tell you to give up. I will say just go ahead and taste it, but just be aware what you are tasting and what you are getting out of it. So probably the best way for you will be to come very close to that thing. Whatever thing is actually taking over all your consciousness, you are getting absolutely hypnotized, infatuated by this whole idea. I suppose your mind is extremely curious about it. So just treat it like that. You just come very close to it and observe it from very closely. What exactly it is bringing to you? Your mind must be getting something out of it, right? That's why it is becoming so high. So is it not, are you not curious what exactly are you getting out of it? Or you just want to be lost in that infatuation and be like a drunk? So she's no, I don't want to be like a drunk. I just want to know what exactly is happening to me. I said, yeah, you'll have to go close to that. And when you go close to it, all those hidden secrets will be revealed to you. So I would say renunciation comes later, but first come very close to that. Observe it from a very short distance.
But there are two things, Alokji, in this. One is Alice in Wonderland. And I remember that Osho gave that example, that the fairy at the other end is standing with a table full of fruits and breakfast items and lots of delicious foods. And she says, Alice, run, come here. Alice starts running. And the distance between the table and Alice, it was table or it was some fruit tree or whatever it was, that remains constant. She has been running the entire morning. Now it is afternoon, the distance is constant. And she keeps running. It is like the sun is about to set and she is still running. And the fruit is still that much distant from her.
But the running will expose to you, right, that it is futile, that you are never going to get what has been promised to you.
So when you say getting close to it, that closeness that is actually a myth. I mean, that is illusion that you can ever get close to it. But in the process of getting close to it, you become aware of the futility of it.
Futility of it, yeah, exactly. So it might be anything. Like, I mean, she is very much interested in going to a cruise. I said, just hop on to the cruise and see what actually happens.
And probably Lewis Carroll was not so much aware of today's scenario, today's world we live in. If it was Alice in 2022 was to be rewritten, then you will find that here is this new generation Alice, and the same thing happens. There is fairy and there is fruit and the fruit tree or food, and then this fairy says, Alice, run. And Alice, instead of running, puts on her VR goggles, virtual reality, and starts consuming those fruits in her mind. That is what we do to ourselves.
Right. Exactly. So I was reading Ghar Ghar Upanishad, and there was a chapter where they talk about, and we have talked about this, that Jagrit Avastha, Sapna Avastha, and then Sushupti and Turiye. So what is a Jagrut Avastha? Jagrut Avastha is a state of consciousness or state of mind which is awake. So how do you define awake? Awake is something like when you are actually using all your five senses. So you are perceiving information, you are communicating the information using all these five senses. That is your Jagrut Avastha, that is your wakeful state. The second one is, so what exactly is happening in this first state actually? The first step is the I is actually choosing different objects based on its own taste or its own likes and dislikes. So the I is getting into action based on its likes and dislikes. That is actually creating this wakeful state. So here saying the I acts on a lot of things based on its desires. But there are some desires which are not even close to your reach. So I is saying that, even if I try a lot in this lifetime, probably I may not be able to get to this point. So suppose there is a desire, like I has the desire to go and travel to moon. But neither he is physically capable, not trained, or it doesn't look like it is going to come into it is not going to materialize in his lifetime. So what he does, he tricks himself. I tricks himself, and then he goes into the sleep mode. So in the sleep mode, in the mode of dreams, in the dream mode, he, without using any of his physical senses, he creates that atmosphere for himself. He creates the moon, he creates the rocket, he hops onto the rocket, he travels, he takes the journey, and he goes on the moon and he enjoys. So this is even better for him, because now he does not even have to try. He is not even suffering himself. He's not even putting it any efforts, but he has created the whole world. So it's all about experiencing, right? So in the first state, he was using all his five senses and he was trying to experience it. Now he understood that he is not able to experience it. Now what he's going to do, if he cannot go to the moon or he cannot go to the pyramids, he has created the moon or the pyramids in his own dream state. And he's been there, he's seen it, because he's already seen it in the videos, how it is all about. So he can create that whole world for himself. And that way he enjoys himself. That is a dream state. And now the third state is called the Sushupti state. There is no substitute word for this. But what I can say about this
Dreamless sleep-like state.
It is a dreamless sleep, where the dreams are not there. So even your mind is also not there. So what exactly is happening here? The happening is, now the I has come to the point where it does not need objects, it does not need images, but still it is extremely in a very joyful state. So this state is very close to the Samadhi state, actually, because there are no dreams, there is nothing actually, there is nothing going on, no senses, not even your mind is there. But still I is enjoying the company of itself. And I have come to the point where I can actually enjoy itself without bringing any objects from the world. So this state is is a great state to be in, but at the same time, this state is not a permanent state, and you can be actually slapped out of this state actually, because even if you are in that state, you have moved from your dreams to that state in your sleep, but you can be awakened. You can be the water can be thrown on your face, and you can be like snapped out of that state. So that's why this state is the yogis have called this state is an extremely alluring state, but at the same time, this state is an illusion. It is not the real state, but it is very important state for I to function the way it functions normally in the world. Without this state, you can actually drive yourself nuts. If you are not getting a simple taste of this, you are not going to be very sane. There will be a lot of you will start seeing a lot of breakdowns in your mind. You will start having all kind of psychological problems, because you are not getting the taste of sushupti in your sleep. And there are a lot of people like that. They are not able to get to this point also.
Sleeping.
Sushupti is an extremely important part of the sleep, even though it stays only for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but it should be the part of your sleep actually.
So you're talking about REM sleep?
No, the other one.
Oh.
REM is sleep. REM is dream.
REM is dream, because the eye movements are there.
Yeah, rapid eye movement. No, it is where you are. It is the opposite of rapid eye movement. No movement. No eye movement. If there is
eye movement, nothing. I mean, you might say that the person is almost in coma.
Or like deep sleep?
Extremely deep sleep, where even no.
The person is not
nothing
there.
will show on the graph actually, that nothing is happening.
Graph, yeah, exactly.
According to my stats, I got 2.5 hours of deep sleep. So
Today?
again, which is good.
Yeah, out of which,
No, deep sleep, what we normally call a deep sleep could be that we are not aware of, and we are also not, we do not remember the dreams we have seen in our sleep. That we call a deep sleep. But this state is a little bit beyond that, because even, I mean, because I is actually absent.
Absent. Yeah, you are not there really.
You are not there.
Correct.
So, even the dream state can you can say like it can be faked like that it is a sushupti, but more often than not, because sushupti is not something which remains for a long time. Osho had given the examples where if you actually have 2 to 3 hours of extremely deep sleep, out of those 3 hours, you might be for 15-20 minutes, you might be in sushupti. That is a possibility, but you cannot claim that you are there in sushupti for the entire 2 hours or 3 hours, because that's very unlikely.
But that's kind of where the part or the section where it happens or can happen.
No, let me fill in a little bit. Actual research. This the sleep scientists, for lack of a better word, who have been conducting this sleep, understanding sleep for like decades now, and they have invariably found that they put all these electrodes and everything on to look at the human the mental activity. And then they have all, there is documentary evidence that for 10 to 15 minutes, all their machines, they just go flat.
Yeah.
And they are not
There is
able to say what is causing this.
there is no brain movement.
Yeah,
As if,
absolutely.
yeah.
Zero. I mean, it is like, is the person dead? Kind of thing.
Right.
So that is what we are talking. I think that is close to Sushupti, what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we start seeing a lot of psychological problems, that means we are not getting a taste, or yeah, the right word is taste of Sushupti in our sleep.
And that seems to be the case in our modern society, actually.
Oh yeah, many people feel that. Yeah.
Yes, because I think as people, we're just generally sleep deprived in general. I'm not even talking about this particular state.
Oh yeah. If you are already having less sleep, and less sleep, I mean, is not the regular 8 hours or 6 hours. If you don't even get that much, and then whatever you get is a very half-baked sleep.
And jobs also. I mean,
Yeah.
we are very fortunate to have jobs which are not that stressful.
Yeah, because the jobs are the first one.
Yeah.
They will start playing out in your dreams.
One of my friends has passed away, Umesh. My friends, I mean our batchmate from the WhatsApp undergrad engineering that group. And the other friend called me today, and he was telling that he met him at somebody's wedding a few years back. And he was saying that he used to work for Ericsson, and he was in marketing and sales. And he said after uh, late 40s or something, that is when he had met him, that after a while it becomes, you just become tired of abuses being hurled at you. And I mean, marketing job is like, it's a WWF all the time. So
Yeah, you
after,
don't want to be doing that kind of job, right? It is not good for your consciousness, actually.
yeah, and probably that might have had its contribution, God knows what.
Oh
But
yeah.
it really gnaws upon your
Right.
soul, if you will. They are soul sapping jobs.
Soul sapping jobs. Yeah. Those jobs. I mean, I'm pretty sure there will be a time when people will say, people will have, or maybe the world will be consciously maybe awakened that much that they will say no to these kind of roles or jobs.
Yeah,
There will be a lot of people who will say no, this is not doing.
very true.
So, I mean, there are two different ways it has explained. The first one was the Bhakti Yoga, the devotee's way of doing. And it is the same way, Karma Yoga, the one who is the path of, on the path of karma, the Karma Yogi is also doing the same thing. It is just he is doing for the self-purification. He is also shaking off that attachment. He is also surrendering the attachment, or you can say he is renouncing the attachment. Probably the renouncing word is better for Karma Yogi, and surrender word is better for the Bhakti Yogi. The devotee, we can say surrender, and Karma Yogi, we can say renunciation, because renouncing, it takes a little bit of I in it. You need a volition, you need an effort. So, and that is a hallmark of Karma Yogi, that there will be some effort involved in whatever he does. So that is why he is just read the shaking of part as renouncing in the Karma Yogi verse, and in the Bhakti Yogi verse, that shaking off becomes surrendering. But he is doing this simply for the desire of self-improvement. So it is a self-purification. He's trying to elevate himself by shaking off the attachment. Because he knows that giving up these attachments is not going to take me anywhere. I mean, keeping these attachments is not going to take me anywhere. So I must renounce them. So all these actions are performed by all his senses, mind, intellect, body, without the feeling of mind. That is very important. Again, the I part is not very, it's not very active in this. Like, it's not. Yeah, Vikramji.
May I continue reading?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Karma Yogis perform action only with their senses, mind, intellect, and body as well, without the feeling of mind in respect of them, and shaking off attachment simply for the sake of self-purification.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I would like to add here is that this has to happen moment to moment.
Oh, yeah.
It is right now, it's a choice. And the next moment is born out of this moment. So if you have chosen right in this moment, in the next moment, your chances of, again, you can choose wrong or right. But so if you are performing this, either surrender or renunciation, shaking of attachment, either way, it has to be done in the now, and then it has to be done moment to moment. So renunciation is not something that you can shake off. Okay, I have given up on this and then it is gone forever. No, it will come back. You have to keep surrendering or renouncing every moment.
And you have to keep checking with yourself if we are doing it actually, because all your actions are evident actually. If you see them clearly, you will know that you are acting out of attachment, or you are acting out of like, there will be some element of attachment or some kind of desire or some kind of thing will be there when you are springing into some kind of action. Even to call somebody, there has to be a desire. Suppose today I chose to talk to my sister. So there was a desire. I wanted to talk to her to know something. So there was a desire. Once that desire was there, that's when I made a call. First she called me, I missed the call. Then I looked at it, I saw, okay, it is a missed call. So then obviously the desire came, what could be the reason why she called? Probably because I was not remembering her or anything, even though I spent so much time with her in India. So I was not remembering her or not missing her or anything, but she called. So I thought like maybe there is something she wanted to talk, and that she called like late night. So I wanted to, so the desire came and I could see that desire coming. And I saw it, okay, all right, what it is. Is a self involved there? So what is it I wanted? So I wanted her well-being actually. That is she okay? Everything is okay. Like just wanted to check with her what was the reason why she called. That was it. Nothing more than that. And then I kept it to that, and that was it. That was the end of it. And then after that, there is no thought or no questions or anything. So you You have to get to that point where you are able to check every single moment then why you are doing what you are doing. Any questions, Lena, there?
No, it kind of makes sense. I mean, just in that, what Vikram said, what you were saying, that it has to be, I guess, a decision that you take every single time. And you can't, again, going back to what we first said, that we can't just kind of look up in the, the horizon and kind of say, oh, that's where I want to get to, and let's see what happens. But it has to be like, oh, I'm gonna make this choice each and every step, I suppose, to get there. At least awareness that where it's going.
You can say the recipe to it is not to think about that end state. It is
just keep doing what you're doing.
No, you will have to refine that. You cannot keep doing what you are doing. You will have to elevate yourself in what you are doing, because most of the stuff what we do is only about the subject. We are always looking at the only about the object. We are only looking at the object. We are never looking at the subject, and that is where we have to correct. That we are not doing at all. Mostly we are never doing that. Look at a small baby when it comes into existence. It is curious about the world. It wants to touch these things. It wants to touch the laptop. It wants to touch the phone. It wants to grab the book. It wants to grab your hair. All kind of things it's doing. Have you ever seen a boy or a girl ever asking their parents this question, who am I? Why am I here? What is it? It's very rare. Maybe 1 in million, probably that could be the question. So the consciousness never get this thought even. It never even questions the existence of itself. So that thought never comes that who am I and who am I at this moment? What am I? That thought never comes. So there only we have to correct ourselves. That is what saying. It's not like keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah, we've been doing all this, watching the object and acting on it all our life. But now we have to add subject also to that object.
Okay, but again, it's very rare that kids that small will do that. But as they grow up, they tend to maybe want to do that, right?
It's very rare, right? You see around us how many people. You will hardly find anybody who asks this question, even the grown-up ones too. They don't ask who am I or who am I at this moment.
The number might be small, but
no,
they obviously do exist.
It is almost negligible. It cannot be even counted. I have not met anybody. It's very rare, and probably we know it from the scriptures that this sort of thing can exist actually. Then only that kind of thought will come. And that is why in the scriptures it's been mentioned that this kind of knowledge can only be imparted from the guru. It can come to your consciousness only from a wise one. So
we're talking about like religion, Jesus, Buddha, whatever. Like you mean that, right? Okay.
Very, very few people go on that. Then compared to 8 billion, when you compare against 8 billion, that number is like not even in 0.00001. It's absolutely there. You can't even, if you stand up on the mountain, you will not be able to even see them. There's nothing. They're just like ants. That number is not even there. So that's why I'm just saying that when we are exposed to these verses, we'll have to make a conscious effort to bring that practice in our day-to-day. We are observing, we are watching the objects, but we need to ask a question to ourselves: where is the subject? what is the subject here, and who am I actually when I'm doing something, when you're watching something, who am I at this moment? Who am I at this moment? So when I was calling my sister, I asked that question to myself, why am I calling? Who am I at this moment? Am I the one who wants to know what happened to her after she attended the camp with Acharya ji? Do I have the desire to know, is she implementing what she has learned there? So those questions I thought about them, but I could see that that desire was not there to know even about them. I was not curious about it. I was not curious what has happened to my sister, because I was not curious. It is totally, she is a different individual. What she might have gone through or what she has experienced, now it's up to her to take it up to the next level. If she really wants to get benefited, or if something really touched her, then she would rather, instead of anybody else, she would rather approach to me. She would ask, and then I would respond. But I'm not going to just stir up the water just because I happen to take her, and I took care of all her expenses and all those things, whatever, just to get her into the camp was also only I did the effort to get her there. So I was not very curious. I just thought like, it's okay. I mean, it's her journey. So that desire was not there. Then the next question was, well, what is it like? Why I really want to talk? It's just because she called. Maybe something important is there, and she wanted to discuss, and I should give my honest ear to it. What is it like in the middle of the night if she happens to call me for what? That was the only desire. So you need to check that why you are doing what you are doing, and that is a little bit effort.
Yes, because I mean, I think that in general, I mean, I don't know about everybody, but I know about myself in terms of, I mean, that kind of does go through my head once in a while, like I think about it. And I was talking to Vikram about something, and I don't remember what, but I kind of said, and I usually think this, and I say this to myself, where I'm like, you know what, nobody really cares. And I really do believe that at the end of the day, nobody cares about you, about your circumstances, about what you're going through, about anything, because they're so concerned about their own things. And so I kind of use that and say that about, okay, well, it doesn't really matter to anyone, it doesn't really matter, period. So I kind of have to remind myself that we're all going somewhere different, right? I don't know, but at the end of the day, I kind of remind myself that all of this is not real, and all of this doesn't really matter. So is that a normal thing to think, or is this kind of in line of what we're discussing, is my question, I suppose.
You need to see if that kind of thought process is bringing your attachments down, bringing your sufferings down, then probably you are on the right path. That is the only way to evaluate. If the sufferings and attachments are only going up, then probably you are deluding yourself.
No, I think it's the former, it's not the latter. I would say it's kind of giving me peace of mind, like it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
If somebody could live like that, it doesn't really matter, then what happens is you are not bringing in too many thoughts in your consciousness. You are not worried about too many things. There is not too much of clutter in your brain to deal with, because if you are attached to million things, then all those million things will be coming in your consciousness, and they'll be playing out in a very weird way, different ways, and that will just create a chaos.
Yes, because in the past I used to have panic attacks, and now I haven't, and hopefully that doesn't, I don't regress, but I haven't had them, and that's part of the reason I think I haven't, because I'm trying to have less attachment to things, people, situations, because again, I'm trying to remember that this is not real, like this really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
And then we have to keep asking ourselves, how am I defining myself also? Sometimes we define ourselves with the possessions we have, with the associations we carry, like kind of a job or kind of people we associate with, and the family members and stuff like that. So that's how we define ourselves. Those could be also your attachments. We have to actually put our lens to those things also, because those things also in the later state they become part of your suffering.
Yes, and so that's another thing I have to work on. But that, as you mentioned, that we're talking about, that's more difficult for me at the moment.
Right.
But yes, you're right.
Yeah. So I mean, I have made my journey like that only. So initially I was just focusing on all the worldly things I'm attached to. Like there are so many things, and there were so many things, so many places I wanted to visit, travel, this, that, and so many things were there. The thought of planning a vacation used to really excite me. It used to excite me, and then going on a vacation, posting those photos on Facebook used to excite me. I have been a very vocal about my obsession of social media. So I wanted to put photos of myself, my wife, my kid, and all kind of like the places I have visited. So all those things, they just gone like a camphor. Just they just disappeared overnight, you can say, or over the period of time. They just disappeared, and then for a long time I've not posted anything on Facebook related to anything about my personal life. So it just gone. Just it was once you are exposed to such a high literature, it just becomes meaningless. There are a lot of things what you do, you just become meaningless. You just start questioning, what the hell am I doing?
Exactly.
What is it you are doing for? What is it this for? So that's how I have reduced my clutter. The clutter has like it has narrowed down to only maybe a few things now. So that's what we have to. Everybody will have to work on it. Like we need to concise. Like should be, it should become smaller and smaller and smaller.
I agree.
So being attached to the fruit of action. Okay, this is number 12, right?
Yes, we were talking about this. I moved.
Yeah.
to the next one.
Yeah. Okay, we can make this a last one. So
Okay.
yes, we are almost there. Yeah.
Offering the fruit of actions to God, the Karma Yogi attains everlasting peace in the shape of God realization. Whereas he who works with a selfish motive, being attached to the fruit of actions through desire, gets tied down.
So here he has kind of combined the the devotee and the karma yogi. So the karma yogi cannot be a real karma yogi if he is not a devotee, and a devotee cannot be a really devotee if he is not a karma yogi. So they are basically one, but the starting point is different based on their conditioning, based on their how they grew up in a society. Based on that, their starting point is defined by that. So Arjun might start up as a karma yogi, but he'll end up being a devotee. Somebody will start up as a devotee, but then he will end up being a karma yogi. So they are both actually come to the same point. It's like coming to the full circle. So that's what he's saying, that now he's merged the devotee and the karma yogi together. He's saying the fruit of actions are offered to God. And the Karma Yogi attains everlasting peace in the shape of God realization. God realization you can just interpret as the peace of your mind. But you do not really have any clutter. You do not have any conflicts in your consciousness. Your consciousness is absolutely at peace. That is God realization. As simple as that. Don't make it too complicated. Don't try to see too many things. Oh, he has some vision, he has some light. No, sorry. There is no such thing. Whereas he who works with a selfish motive, being attached to the fruit of actions through desire, gets tied down. That we all know. As the moment the self is involved, the moment I is involved, the moment there will be the journey of attachment, then the attachment to the fruit. Attachment will be always some towards something, right? And that towards something is always going to be some kind of fruit, some kind of benefit. So when you are attached to that benefit or the fruit, which is the result of the actions, and the actions are coming into picture from the desires, then you are actually tied down to that cycle of suffering.
Or something. Yeah, I was about to add, like if something can be added to this to even more make more clear, that you get tied down to suffer.
To suffer.
Then naturally, I mean, when a person is tied down, obviously he will suffer. So
Obviously, yeah, exactly that one. I can just check here also, because I have this book. I probably will be sending it to you too.
oh, okay, sure.
So this is actually a Hindi version of the whole thing, and it is
Really nice.
yeah, it is all these like is explained in English here. So it's a Hindi version and explained in a very clear way, in a very
Simple, lucid way.
in a lucid way. Yeah.
Are those cliff notes? Just kidding.
Hmm?
You said that the notes were in English?
No, in Hindi.
These are in Hindi.
Oh, okay.
So that will be very useful for Vikramji.
Yeah.
I'll be
If
sending you.
I never it's like I had a student who created his cheat sheet in Chinese, whatever language it is.
No, I'm using it not as a cheat sheet, but I'm using it as
I know.
to make sure that the translation given here
It's accurate, yeah.
is actually accurate, or it has some other implied meaning which is not coming there. Because see, the last couple of verses, it was not mentioned that it is Bhakta Yogi.
Renunciation, yeah, correct.
Yeah, the renunciation, the surrender, those things are, but those are things are mentioned here. So we are getting a little bit more clarity from here.
Yeah.
So I can read it. I mean, only Vikramji will understand.
Maybe
okay, because then I can then ask Vikram after later.
Yeah, maybe we can stop the recording and finish this session, and or we can read whatever you like.
No, this
I don't mind.
This is this can go in the recording, right? I mean, this is just a
Yeah,
transcript.
let this go in the recording then.
Yeah.
Please read.
Okay, number 12. Okay. So Arjun is asking actually here. There's a question here. Saying भगवान भक्ति योगी तो आप में समर्पण के उद्देश्य से भक्ति योगी तो आप में समर्पण के उद्देश्य से कर्म करता है. भक्त योगी आप में समर्पण के उद्देश्य से कर्म करता है. ये तो मैं समझ रहा हूं. अतः वह लिप्त नहीं होता. because he is surrendering from the very desire that he wants to surrender all his actions to you. So that is why he doesn't get attached. But what actually is making the karma yogi not to get attached? If he is not surrendering, what is actually getting karma yogi not to get attached? Because he does not really have a desire to surrender to you. But then how come he is not getting attached by doing all these actions? Because to do the actions, he has to use all his senses. And if he is using the senses, the nature of the senses is the moment they are in some kind of action, they tend to get attached. So how he is keeping himself free? That is the question from Arjun. So
no, I think the answer was given for self-purification, right?
right. Here they have combined 11 and 12 both.
Oh, okay.
So he's saying कर्म योगी इंद्रियां शरीर मन बुद्धि के साथ ममता न करके और फल आसक्ति का त्याग करके केवल अंतःकरण की शुद्धि के लिए ही कर्म करता है. That means he is not getting attached to his body, mind, his brain, his consciousness, his all his senses. He's not getting attached to all these, and he's also giving up the fruits of these actions coming out of these senses. He's also giving up the fruits. Why he's doing that? Because he wants the purification of his own consciousness. That is the desire he has. For the devotee, the desire is to surrender anything to God. That is the desire, that whatever I'll get, I will surrender to God. That is the desire he is carrying. For the karma yogi, he is not concerned about God. He is concerned about his own purification. That's why he is surrendering. Or maybe you can say giving up. Renouncing is the right word. Then he say, अतः कर्म योगी कर्म फल की इच्छा का त्याग करके सदा रहने वाली परम शांति को प्राप्त हो जाता है. So he wants to attain to that supreme peace. And that is the desire he has. He wants the peace of his own mind, and that is why he renounces and gives up all these attachments. And then he says, परंतु जो योगी नहीं है वो कामना के कारण कर्म फल में आसक्त होकर बंध जाता है. But the one who is not a yogi, he becomes entangled in this fruit of action
Because of desire.
Because of his own desires, and that's how he gets into bondages.
बंध जाता है, yeah.
Yeah.
So desire is suffering.
Yeah.
The moment you say, I have a dream, you are signing up for suffering.
I know desire is suffering, but when the woman was asking me that she has this desire, and Acharya ji keeps saying that desire is a suffering and you have to give up on the desire, then how should I act? Because I actually have the desire and I cannot deny it that I have the desire. I actually want to go to the cruise. I actually want to experience it. I actually want to visit to all these beautiful places. So, and these desires were like,
go once.
They were ripening there all throughout her adolescent and all throughout her adulthood life. She was actually waiting for this time when her kids are grown up, when her kids are well established. Then she wanted to act on those desires. Now, unfortunately, after she has completed the whole cycle, she has found Acharya ji. So it's a big he is like a party pooper for her.
Yeah, but Acharya ji himself says, भाई ज़्यादा ही पीछे पड़े हो तो चले जाओ, खा लो, हो गया.
Exactly. I told her, because she's not
Go,
listened to.
go, man, once go.
She has not listened to hundreds of videos. She has listened to few videos, and she has listened to the videos where he is emphatically talking about giving up those things. So it is kind of making sense to her. She understands that that would lead to suffering, but she's saying, but I cannot deny, I cannot be dishonest to myself that I have that desire. So Alokji, you can tell me what exactly should I do here? I said, I'm not going to tell you that just give up those desires, because those desires are there for a reason and they've been there for many years, and you were actually watering them. You were actually taking care of those desires. Actually, you made sure those desires don't die out. You're waiting for this day. So I'm pretty sure you will find more if you go close to those desires. You actually allow yourself, but always always remember this, and that remembrance should always carry with you. Carry that remembrance and also continue the self-observation. What exactly is like what the desires have promised you something. So are they delivering the package? Just make sure, just keep
They
checking.
never do. They never do. Bas.
And then if you get it something, how long it lasts? Does it really leave you with some eternal peace, or does it leave you exhausted and worried? So yeah, she's going to work on that. So I think understanding this is good, but when you are actually applying it, you cannot start from renunciation. To start from renunciation, you need to check all the corners of that particular thing, in and out. I told you I renounced drinking, and now even if I drank those 2 pegs with my friends, the desire did not come back. There was no attachment. So the desire did not come back. I did not get like, oh my God, those were so delicious and I had such a great night. No, I was already in a great state of mind. That actually, those 2 pegs actually dampened my spirit to some extent. So I was, unfortunately, to be with them, I had to come out of my usual joyful state little bit. So definitely I'm not going to go back there, right? So that is what exactly happens when you are in that state, when you are always in a state, in a pure state. You don't want to be doing something stupid to ruin that state. So because these are very cheap things, actually. The desires, what it gives you is very cheap. Giving up what you get is extremely priceless, but the mind does not come into agreement very quickly, because mind has never experienced anything like that. So mind say, oh, I'm not sure if I give up everything, then I'm not sure this is a very profitable business for me.
Yeah.
So and it is very understandable that mind thinks like that. So you have to work with mind, you have to go step by step.
Yeah. And we have a momentum of like centuries. At least in this lifetime, momentum of 50 years, 40 years.
Yeah.
For some people. Yeah.
Now your friend has gone, so you know life, how short it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is what the discussion is now.
Yeah.
In the group, that the third phase has begun.
Oh yeah.
Phase 1 was when we listened to our parents and did whatever they told. Phase 2, another 25 years for wife, for kids, for family. And now the last 25 years we want to spend only for ourselves. That is what everybody is saying in the group now.
Yeah. But spending for
that-
ourselves also
correct.
carries.
I mean, they are not talking spiritual, but
Yeah,
they have this consume, like they want to consume everything for
everything.
themselves now. But
Yeah,
I mean, whatever they are saying, they are saying.
Immersion is the word actually people want to. I won't even say the immersion word is the right word, because immersion actually takes you to understanding.
This is not understanding. This is like life slipping away before I die. Let me consume
Right.
more.
That's why I'm saying immersion is not the right way.
This is
Probably
suffering. This is
this is
suffering.
this is actually indulging, maybe.
Yeah. Indulgence is suffering.
Yeah.
In fact, the desire to indulge is suffering. I mean, everything is boils down to dukh. What Buddha says. Everybody is suffering. Everything that we do is just adding to our suffering.
Indulgence
Unless,
is also in some way, on some level, you want to forget yourself.
correct. Because you cannot live with yourself.
Live with yourself.
That is the problem.
That is the biggest problem.
It is
Yeah.
like we have selectively accumulated all the bad things in ourselves, you know. Whatever thorns we could find, we have now in our body. Now we can't live with ourselves. So that's who we are.
Anything else? Lina, everything is okay now?
Yeah, everything's fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we finished it today. It's almost 2 hours now.
I think so. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think we need to get some sleep, Vikramji, because probably again might
Okay.
have to get up in the night again.
Yeah, me too. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I I will ping you. Maybe it is 2 o'clock for you, right? I think it is 2 o'clock for you.
Yeah.
For me.
I will probably I stopped recording. I will see. I might catch some sleep or